Hey there, guys. Hope you're having a good Thanksgiving. This is Mr. Griffin. And I wasn't going to make a video on this, but I had nothing else to do right now. I'm full of rotisserie chicken along with some green beans and some rice with chicken gravy on it. So that was my Thanksgiving dinner. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the situation in WWE right now. One angle in particular I want to focus on. I had watched both the Lex Man and Off the Rope shows, particularly the Schleck Daddy's videos on this subject. As you can see by the picture here, who I'm going to talk about. The situation with AJ Lee and John Cena has got to be one of the most ridiculous and unbelievable angles that I've ever seen. And that's saying a lot this year, because WWE's had plenty of bad angles. But this one's got to be one of the worst ones. In fact, with the exception of the period before, at, and after WrestleMania and Extreme Rules, and a couple of matches, in between, and a couple of angles in between, is there anything good that has gone on this year at WrestleMania besides that period in WWE? Not a thing. Well, CM Punk's title reign being 1 year, which is impressive. But as Select Daddy called him, he might, instead of CM Punk, he might as well be MC Punk as a mid card. Because except for a couple of events, every one of his matches has been in the mid card, as great as they were, such as the two classics he had with Chris Jericho, WrestleMania and Extreme Rules respectively, and then the matches he had with Daniel Bryan. They were all second to last to mid card matches when they really should have been main events. But I'm getting off topic here. I'll discuss that if I choose to at another time. But back to this AJ Lee John Cena thing. This has got to be one of the most makes no sense angle. This was obviously ripped off of Impact Wrestling's attempt at a similar angle earlier this summer with, ironically, a guy with the same first two initials, AJ Styles and Dixie Carter, which was later AJ Styles and Claire Lynch. Now that angle was bad. That was bad. And it was made worse when they put Claire Lynch into it. At least if they would have kept it AJ Styles and Dixie Carter, that angle, if done right, could have had some legs. Because both are married. Everyone knows both AJ Styles and Dixie Carter are married. And let's face it, Dixie Carter is an attractive older woman. There's some guys that wouldn't. And I'm not calling them gay or anything like that. Some guys would have the fortitude not to. But I think most guys would have looked at Dixie Carter if she came to you wanting some ding dong. Probably would have gave it to her. So, it would have been plausible and certainly more juicy and would have had more heat. But the AJ, once they introduced Claire Lynch into it, that angle went south fast. But in my opinion, the AJ Lee John Cena makes the AJ Styles situation look like a 5-star classic angle in comparison. Well, let's start at the beginning. AJ loses her job because she was fraternizing with one of the wrestlers. Now, if she was doing it on the job, that would be one thing. But they showed it was always off the job. And she's giving John Cena some ass. So what? It was off the clock. And furthermore, they're both single. To be that alone diffuses it. And then when she's fired or she steps down, they replace her with Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero, really? As the Miz would say, really? Wasn't Vicky Guerrero many times when she was running SmackDown on several occasions, while kayfabe married to Edge when he was World Heavyweight Champion, was cheating on him with the Big Show. And she's done other angles where she was fraternizing with other wrestlers, including an implied relationship with Dolph Ziggler. She was never fired. She was never stepped down from her job. Stephanie McMahon, when she did her angle as a general manager, or as a manager of WWE, or as a manager of SmackDown, with Triple H, how many times did she make rulings in favor of him, during like 2000, 2001, the McMahon-Hemsley era? How many times did she make favoritism? And the biggest one of all, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, or Vince McMahon. I mean, I know it was kayfabe and all, but how many divas, while he was in charge running things on camera, how many divas did he bend over and bone? I mean, Trish Stratus, Sable, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, Candice Michelle, and probably some others I can't even think of. But was he ever made to step? Did they ever write an angle where he was made to step down? No. I mean, on this alone, this angle stinks. And then the whole thing like, oh, John Cena bad. He's fraternizing with AJ Lee. So what? Now, if they would have brought out that John Cena was married, maybe, at the time this was going on, then, yeah, that might be different. But he's single. He's in real life and in this angle. So what? And on this one, I'll be honest, even though body-wise, my type would be someone like Layla or Eve Torres, I gotta admit, AJ Lee's a little hot mama. I mean, on that one, I would have to side with Cena, because I'd be like, shit, who wouldn't fuck her? Sorry to be blunt and crass, but I mean, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry if little kids are listening to this, but I'm sorry. I mean, who wouldn't bone her? I mean, there's probably some guys that wouldn't, that aren't necessarily gay, that she's just not their type, but I think most men would give it to her. I mean, shoot. I mean, she's a very attractive young woman. And John Cena, in my opinion, and I don't have a gay bone in my body, but he is a ruggedly handsome man. Relatively handsome, I should say. So, why wouldn't they? I mean, they're grown adults. It's consensual sex. I mean, come on. Then they kept denying it. And that was another bad part that the Lex man pointed out. They kept denying it, that there was a relationship, even though you could see hints that there was something going on. Then when they finally just said, oh, fuck it, and just kissed in front of the world, they should have came out with that in the first place. I agree with him on that. They should have just went ahead and just got it out in the first place, rather than keep deny, like it was some dirty little secret, when really there ain't nothing to it. Now, if she was doing him during work, or let's say they made an angle where John Cena came out of her office, it did like they showed AJ Lee maybe putting some clothes, pulling up her pants, or putting her shirt on, button up her shirt real quick or something. If that would have been the case based on that, then yes, it would have made sense. But this was off hours, as I said. The way they made this angle was off hours. As far as I'm concerned, and this is how I feel personally about dating in the workplace in real life. This is how I feel about it personally. As long as it does not affect what you do on your job, and as long as you ain't trying to get your freak on while you at work, I don't give a shit what you do. And that's just me personally. And I don't think it's the boss's business. I don't think it's upper management's business. But I'm getting into a whole real world realm, and maybe I'll discuss that another time. But now another problem I got with this angle, where Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee had their confrontation in the Heels locker room. Which, by the way, he cut a very good promo. I mean, from what I understand. I actually skipped through this because that's how much Raw sucks to me now. Unless I see something really, really interesting I don't even watch that. I just fast forward through it because, quite honestly, there's nothing compelling on there. But anyway, from what I understand, Dolph Ziggler cut a really good promo, and I'm gonna have to either try to watch it, when Universal HD replays the show, or I'm gonna have to maybe find it on YouTube somewhere. But from what I understand, he cut a very good promo on AJ Lee. And even though he was the heel, he made valid points from what I understand. But then AJ just lost it, tried to attack him. And then John Cena come busting in there, fighting off Dolph. Of course, they playing off an injury, which there's been many debates. Many believe it's just an angle to try to sell John Cena's hurt. But many others, Deluxe Man included, think that it's real. I would have to see the footage for myself to make sure. Now, to make sure that it is, since I didn't really watch what happened. But he came up in the heels locker room. Dolph Ziggler gets the advantage, and the heels are just standing around and stuff. Now this is the point Schleck Daddy pointed out, and I have to agree with him. For you longtime wrestling fans like myself, do you remember about 1988, the night that Barry Windham turned on Lex Luger and joined the Four Horsemen? Dusty Rhodes, who was the Midnight Rider at that point, went into the heels locker room to confront Barry Windham. All the heels are standing around at first, and they're yelling at each other, right? And may I point out, there was a side angle. There was a bounty on the mask of the Midnight Rider, saying that if he was unmasked and shown to be Dusty Rhodes, that he would be banned, I believe, from the NWA and Jim Crockett Promotions. That he would be banned. Of course, that never actually happened, but this came close. Anyway, one of the heels sets up into Dusty, or Midnight Rider. He punched the heel. Every heel in that locker room jumped and whooped his ass. From Flair, Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Kevin Sullivan, and the Varsity Club. Basically, the powers to pay. Basically, every big heel at that point jumped Dusty Rhodes, or Midnight Rider, and pulled the mask off. Of course, he was saved by Dr. Death Steve Williams and a few other fan favorites before they could get a good look at him. But my point being is this: back in the day, but that made sense. You go up in the, that would be like me walking up into a Klan meeting and say, "Hey," and I'm gonna use a little racial epithet for a second. I'll be like, "Hey, how y'all racist crackers doing?" And I don't get a boot party put on my black ass. I mean, shit. It's the same thing. The heels are standing around watching John Cena and Dolph Ziggler just going at it in a fight. And back in the old days of wrestling, if John Cena the minute he'd have walked into the heels locker room, regardless what to do, them heels would have been like, "Oh, you in our house, bitch." They all would have jumped him and gave him the whooping of a lifetime. John Cena would have had more than a hurt ankle or a hurt knee. His whole body would have been shaken down. But no. WWE has to play it like, oh, they're all heels, but they're all gonna stand back and watch the fight. No, they're not. I know. If I was a heel and I was in the dressing room, and regardless of why John Cena come up in there, I'd been like, oh hell no, you did not just walk. Oh guys, no, he in our house now. Let's whoop his ass. You imagine if John Cena would have did that back in the day with, I'm going to name some major heels. And, I know they're from different time zones, but they're all, bound in the history of the NWA and WCW. You imagine if John Cena would have walked back in the day, let's say, to fight Ric Flair. Could you imagine Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Barry Windham, the Russians, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, Captain Redneck, Dick Murdoch, Harley Race? Could you imagine all them motherfuckers standing by and not doing nothing? Hell no. they would have beat the shit out of him. He'd have been done. He'd have been lucky if he left alive or left breathing. But no, WWE has their heels stand back. And an official just come up in there and say, we need some help, No, we need a stretcher. No, back in those days, you didn't need a body bag by the time they was done with him. But, yeah, there's lots of problems with this angle. Quite frankly, I'll be glad when it's over with. The only silver lining here is that Dolph Ziggler is now probably going to be in a real feud with John Cena. And WWE, for once, please do the right thing. And this will not damage your cash cow whatsoever. Do the right thing. Let Ziggler have a victory, a marquee clean victory over John Cena. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that wants this. I'm not a huge fan of Ziggler, but I agree. Based on the way he's being pushed right now, after his clean victories over Randy Orton and now The Miz, this guy needs to be put over in a big way. Now is the time to do it, in my opinion. WWE doesn't do it now, they might never do it. But back to this whole thing, AJ Lee, John Cena, I mean, it just stinks. It's getting to the point where I just almost I turn the channel whenever I see, and I actually like AJ Lee. But when she's on the screen, I just fast forward. It's got to that point. I just fast forward through the show, via my DVR, because I don't even want to see her. Not because I hate AJ Lee per se, but because the way they have her character now, it sucks. It sucks. Good God. I don't care. To me, if I was going to put AJ Lee back as a regular performer wrestler, fuck this angle. She would be feuding with Eve Torres right now. That's just which, by the way, that's a match I really want to see. Of course, at this point, I would not throw it out right now. I would have it at earliest the Royal Rumble. And maybe build it up for WrestleMania. But we know WWE is not going to do that because they don't give a shit about the Divas division. And, of course, that's another video for another day. But that's what she would be doing right now. Fuck this angle. Fuck this. This makes AJ Styles, this makes AJ Styles, Claire Lynch look like a 5-star soap opera angle. Seriously. That's how much AJ Lee, John Cena, this angle sucks. That's just my opinion. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving. Play the game, bring the pain. I'm out.